thought it was John Travolta, that movie.
Well, no, I think that there was a Seinfeld episode and there was a movie.
No.
All right, we're live on YouTube.
Oh, we are? Okay.
Oh, there it comes.
No, I think that there was a Seinfeld episode.
Bam. Okay, got rid of that.
Phil
You're
is
black,
hiding.
Adam.
Phil's having damn problems with his damn camera again on his iPad.
You're not too
Yeah,
happy
Adam's
about that.
got the Adam's got the black screen and Phil is having camera issues.
Oh, look at that. It is a black screen. How interesting.
You should have a picture like the rest of us for
Well,
backup
I've actually
plan.
turned on my camera. So that's interesting that it's not
It's not working. Are we having technical difficulties?
appears to. It might be that I don't have a lot of internet where I am. So it's kind of like, well, we just won't do that.
We having bandwidth issues?
See, that's when I have my camera off. I might
No,
be.
you at least have a picture.
I'm gonna log back in again.
All right. Huh. Okay, there it is. Got my Cam Twist has filters on it. And okay, well, it's showing here that's working. So that's all right. All you want is my melodic voice anyway.
It's Technical Friday.
Yeah, it's all pretty easy going, which is nice. That's interesting. There's oh no, I have it open. That's why. Okay. Thought a window didn't open, but the reason was because I already had to open the window open. Is that what I wanted? No, don't want that. Huh. I don't know. I'll quit that program and see how that goes. And then I'll start it again. See, that's the program I use that has a filter on me. There we go.
There you are.
It's like the IT guys, right? Did you turn it off and turn it on again?
Did you reboot? That's the other one.
Yeah. All right. Well, good morning. All right, I'm gonna find my little thingy thing, and I'm a minute late. Ugh, it's a tough life. I want to share screen, but I've got my thing too small, so I don't see the share screen. Share screen. There we go. And do you hear all the excitement behind me? All right, so welcome to Adam's Friday Flow. We've got it's on YouTube channel live, and you can use it for any of your social media stuff. I wonder if Ben's going to join us today. He'd signed up. Attendee greeting. We're going to do that after we do the intro, and then open discussion, and then you'll have an ask ready at the end, I hope, and then we're going now. So this week I focusing on like you are called, and the reason it's like you've heard of the book Man's Search for Meaning. We just seem to be looking for things, and so one of the ways to figure out what you're searching for or what you're called to is to be attentive to like what's going on in your life and things you've enjoyed and things that have been a hard time for you, and what really makes you feel like you have the most flow going on. So, and flow again is that time when you feel your challenges meet your skills, and that it's not just a low challenger, but it's a high, really bringing you into stuff. So you can record your patterns, like as you're thinking about it. For instance, for myself, I like to talk about when I was a kid. I would go to my friend's house, and I didn't even think about this until like I'd started my business for a while. But I'd go to my friend's house, and sometimes instead of like doing whatever they were doing, like video games or whatever, I'd be more interested in a cabinet where I thought, oh, if this was moved over there and that was moved over there, it'd be a lot more useful. So even when I was, in middle school, that was like something I was really excited about. I also sorted my Legos a lot. So welcome to Adam's Friday Flow for Entrepreneurs. You're gonna give your paste your stuff in the chat, and if you have your website up, then I will get it on there. Put a HTTP in front of it so that I can make it clickable. And then we'll actually give our name, a brief story about what we do and who for who, and then your ideal client. And then we'll come back to this. So I'll start. I'm Adam Sparks Brechtel, and I'm going to go ahead and grab my information here and throw it in the chat. The good, I've got a big long thing I'm throwing in there, but whatever. It was the one that I had handy. I got to find chat. Where's my chat on this? Why is everything so it's small, so the chat box is not quick. Oh, there it is. Bam. Look at that. Someone else beat me to it. Way to go, Annie. All right. Okay, so here I am. So I'm Adam Sparks Brechtel, and I have this, my business is called Sparks Flow. So this is my my simple web page, and these are upcoming things. Well, we're upcoming. I haven't updated it for a while. And in slimming down my day, this is the thing. And then here's some cool testimonials. Makes me feel pretty neat. And this one's recent. I got to help somebody who'd lost a loved one and was dealing with, not being motivated afterwards to deal with their stuff that had come to their home. And now they had it all everywhere. And so we were able to sort through that and make that happen. But I really like to work with people that are trying to get something done. Like they want to make something happen. So they have great ideas. And so I want to help their sparks of inspiration flow. So some people say sparks of inspiration is redundant, but it's also more clear if I say that. Annie, since you were so fast, you are up next.
Okay. Yeah, I'm Annie Irizarry, founder of Core Community Housing. In a previous life, I was a consultant for many, many years as a project manager, a scrum master in the technology world and software development and engineering. So now I'm an entrepreneur. I also co-own a social benefits company out of Chicago. So now I'm in a real estate sustainable community development. So that's where I'm at the moment. That's my short story. So I am now doing a proposal with National Science Foundation for $1.5 million.
Wow, you got a lot of money.
Well, you're right.
It goes
I
away
don't know
fast,
about
I'm
that,
sure.
but- right?
Well, here it is
I'm
right
working on it, right? Working on
Yeah.
it at the moment. So that's where it's at.
That's great. Any new developments?
Well, right now we're trying to work on the proposal and trying to finish it off so we can get to that $1.5 million and we can get it going.
So you qualified to make the proposal.
Right? Qualified to do that full proposal to make it to that 1.5 million. We qualified, right? We're a candidate. That's about it.
That's cool. That's that's kind of like the hackathon thing that some of us did. Nobody here. There's a
Right.
hackathon, which is the
Right.
UNMH did for a while. Where all these people got together. We came up with ideas in the weekend, and then we pitched it to some judges. And then the two winners had the potential to apply for the $10,000.
Right. So
But
it just means we qualified. It doesn't mean we have it. It just means
Right.
we got the merit to qualify for it. So we're qualified. That's all.
That's cool. Thanks, Annie.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, it's gonna go Alan, Phil, and Lisa.
Well, you've all heard me talk about my background. succinctly, I'm retired, I'm in a contemplative mode, and occasionally I share an opinion. That's what I'm doing now.
Great. Thank you. Phil, what are you drinking this morning?
I was trying to think of something different to say today. I've done my world travels and I've done my history. Well, we are fighting with getting to the very end of Annie's proposal. It seems the last mile is a very tough hurdle to break through, but hopefully we crack that today. I did get something good last week. This week, I researched 3 publishing companies and got estimates for actually publishing my book from 3 different companies.
Wow.
And I can do it in a color version on an ebook and hard copies. And the price ranges for around $2,000.
Per copy?
No, for the whole package. All right.
Oh. So it's about
So,
2,000.
Yeah. And that can go down that can adjust $500 or more either way. It depends if I can get my book cover design done separately, which I think I can because I was talking to a graphic artist last night. And so it's moving in the right direction. I've got 3 good possible outlets, and it isn't Amazon. It's 3 different ones. So
Wow, that's cool. So that's nifty. Is there anything that makes helping you decide which of the 3, like some criteria?
well, one of them, 2 of them, yeah. One of them gives you 25 copies of the hard book, and digital you just get them anyway. The other 2 will give you have to say whether you want between 1 or 5 books. And one of them you have to give the rights away for 2 years. So I'm not too happy about that.
But it costs less then? Or
no, it doesn't cost less.
Oh, what's the advantage then?
I don't know. I'm got to find out. So whilst you got the price of the book, the other thing you got to figure out is, okay, well, how much do I want to sell the book for? And then how much royalty do you get out of that book price?
Yeah.
So while I've got the publishing price for the ebook and the hard copies, I've now got to work out what would be a good price for a business book of this size, and what the royalties would be that I get from that.
See, if you're teaching a class, you can set the price really high and make the book mandatory for students.
Oh,
Yep. I just need to get back in front of MBA classes in New Mexico like I used to in New York.
Right.
horrible. All right. So thank you for the insights. Talking about financial tricks. So Lisa, you are muted.
Yes, I am muted.
Welcome.
Because so many things going on. So I think everybody knows what I do. If you don't, I run a company called Proficient Financial Management. We do accounting and advisory services for small to mid-sized companies. We also, so that does include things like tax, which, by the way, if you have not yet done your tax return for 2019, that is due a week from today.
Okay.
And that is why I'm super pumped right now.
Pumped.
Yeah, I'm just trying to track everyone down. It's like herding cats. So I don't know. There's not a whole lot I mean, there's not a whole lot more that I can tell you about what we do. We redesign accounting workflows. We redesign your accounting systems. We do white labeled accounting departments. And we have a payroll service. We do the normal things that you would expect as well. But most of what we do these days is helping people grow their companies from usually from 6 to 7 figures. They're trying to get over that last hurdle. So we work with them to help them do that.
Cool. That's not helpful. Okay. Well, I'm gonna stop my share screen then.
While you're doing that, I'm going to interject with
Please
what
do.
I thought was a highly amusing video I saw on Twitter yesterday in light of the vice president debate. And it was a picture of Mike Pence's head with the fly on it. I don't know if you saw the debate, but Mike Pence had a fly on his head for about 2.5 minutes. And, you know, he's got very white hair and a fly is very black. And what was really amusing that I saw on Twitter was somebody had actually edited the picture, so a close-up of the top of his head with the fly on it, and the fly was holding a Biden for president banner. And it just cracked me up. I just couldn't stop laughing. It was so cool. I actually reposted it on Twitter.
So that was really from the debate, or that was?
Yeah, that was really from the debate. I mean, as the debate was going on and he was doing this talk, this fly landed on his head, and you know he's got that thick white hair, and of course it just stayed there. I don't know what he was doing there for 2.5 minutes, but the amount of jokes that came out the following morning on Twitter was like just phenomenal. But that was the bit where he the fly and he's holding this Biden for president.
You know, that's an interesting thing actually, because maybe is that I found out that a lot of millennials these days, they won't listen to the actual news, but we will listen to things like Wait, Don't Tell Me, and like the Colbert Report and stuff like that. I don't think Colbert Report is on anymore, but we listen to the humorous things, but we won't actually listen to the actual news because I'm assuming it means we won't take it very seriously.
Actually, Wait, Don't Tell Me is a very good program on NPR.
Yeah,
I enjoy that.
There's this weird thing happening where I can't figure out how to turn off my share screen.
Well, we can see you.
Well, good. I've got like this huge thing going on. I don't know. So the share screen seems to be off already.
Yeah, you're not sharing it with us.
Huh.
Now you are.
Yeah.
Now you are.
Now you're not.
Weird.
This is
There's
a strange
weird
day.
thing. Yeah, I had to turn it on in order to turn it off on my side. That seems to be the thing going on today.
I think we call it Fractured Friday.
Yeah, I'm glad I'm not the only one having problems.
Oh, yeah. My personal email will not sync, and apparently it's not just me. Apparently Microsoft email is crashing today.
Wow.
Maybe-
I use Outlook too, so.
Yeah, well, no, like if you're using the web browser, it's fine. It's when it's trying to go down to apps.
Oh.
Yeah, so it won't sync with my BlackBerry hub. And apparently it's also not syncing with the Outlook app either.
And yesterday I was trying to use I don't know if this is connected. It's a technical thing anyway. I was trying to use the keyboard on my smartphone, and both keyboards, because I have an imported one that I use, an app, and both keep on disappearing while I'm trying to write stuff.
Oh, I can solve that problem.
Oh, look at you.
What was it?
Is that a BlackBerry?
Yeah,
That's great.
the keyboard never disappears.
That's,
I actually had another one where the keyboard slid out from the bottom.
Lisa, I
Which do you
used to
prefer?
have the older BlackBerry, which I thought was an outstanding phone.
This is a newer BlackBerry. This is actually not even the newest BlackBerry that's out there right now. This is
who needs that anyway?
the third generation back. They just came out with a new one this year, but it was.
So are they still as
$1,000.
good? Are
Huh?
they still good?
Yeah, they're still good phones. They're a little different now that they're a hybrid on the Android system. I miss the old BlackBerry OS.
Oh, right. Okay.
But they're still, you know, it's still better than using a pure Android, that's for sure.
Hmm. Yeah, I used to love my BlackBerry.
Oh yeah, I've never had another smartphone since I started using smartphones. It's always been BlackBerry. Everyone's like, you should try the iPhone. No, they're crazy expensive, and every year they lose a feature.
Really?
Well, like my best friend, she has an iPhone, and she told me that she doesn't have a headphone jack anymore, or something like that.
That was a phase they went through.
And I was like, yeah, no, no, just no.
Yeah, they took the headphone jack out to make it waterproof.
Huh.
Yeah. Well,
That's kind of cool. I always use Bluetooth anyway. I don't like to plug things into it because it doesn't work out. So that would have meant much to me, I don't think. But yeah. So the You Were Called is one of those things that I came up with the other day when I was thinking up topics and things. And Annie, we'll do the project stuff 2 weeks from today, if that works for you. So we'll shoot that out.
Weeks from
So
today? Okay.
that's the
So do you
plan.
want me to do,
No, this is all pretty informal. If you want to
Okay.
get all kinds of fun things ready, you can do that, but it'll still be a discussion. So
okay.
Yeah, we're really not good at homework. So,
the
No, I'm just thinking
so-
of materials to kind of, informative information, that's all.
that's great. I like it.
Because there's a lot of new information on the 7.0.
Yeah.
I mean, they really have sort of revamped it, so I want to be able to at least present,
And it-
what's new.
And if we don't fit it all in that time, then we can do it again another time too. But I'm interested. I
Right.
think it's really neat. So for
It's just an overview, 30,000 feet overview, that's all.
you seem pretty passionate about this too, Annie. How did you get into program or project management?
I got into project management quite by accident.
Yeah.
Most of us who are in project management professionals who are certified, we kind of we get into it by accident, not by choice.
Yeah.
A lot of us will tell you, we get into it because because we evolve into it, not that we choose it, we evolve into it. You see what I'm
Would-
saying? Because we're either engineers or software developers or business planners or business analysts. We sort of get into it because we have to.
There is a degree, isn't there?
There is, but there never used to be.
Oh.
We're sort of like, okay, we're in the world of technology, we're in the world of business management, and then just because we end up going into it by choice
Phil-
or by
Phil, you call yourself a
Osmosis.
project manager too, right?
well,
Um,
and now it's evolving. It's evolving now into project leaders. We're now getting a seat at the table of executives because in the past we're sort of an afterthought. Well, now they're realizing that we have a value that we bring to the C-suite executive in that we have financial impact. We absolutely have financial impact.
So what
At
is
that
that?
level,
That's not
but they-
CEO, a CEP?
No, CEO levels, right? The chief financial officers, the vice presidents of the company.
Yeah.
They kind of forget about us in the beginning. All of a sudden, they're realizing, oh shit, we didn't include the project managers. They know the budget, they know the resources, they know the risks, and we have that knowledge that they didn't realize we had. All of a sudden, now they're realizing, well, no, we need to include them on the table. Why didn't we include them? So
So
now
would
they're
you be a
calling us leaders.
COO? Like You said you'd be on the C level. I want to know what the acronym is. That's, it's a small thing, but it's an
They're
interesting
calling
thing.
us CP, Chief
C-level,
Project
C-level
Management
means
Officer.
everybody that's C-level means
Well,
everybody
let me
that's
speak to that. Let me speak to that, right? Because now they're calling us Chief Project Officers. They're now calling us officers because
Oh,
we have,
Chief CPO. Whoa, a CPO? Okay. Yeah,
they're
because
calling us
Miriam
different.
Ortiz Pino, she's a CPO, but she's a certified professional organizer. So that's just, it's interesting. That's a small thing, but
Right,
it's like one of those little quirks that I'm just curious about because I didn't even know what a
Nobody
COO was a little while ago. So that
Right?
was,
Nobody knows what to call us. When they brought me in as a consultant in another organization, they called me governance and global governance and project. They called me project manager, but they called me global governance because of the fact that I had the keys to the kingdom and I knew exactly where all the projects were globally. Right? I had the keys to the kingdom and I knew where the resources were right at the back of my hand. And my director said, I don't know how you remember all this information. I said, I know because I know. And it's
so
like,
how did
I
you get
have no
into that?
idea how
You
to
say,
know.
so you were in the technical world and you sort of started doing project management. When did you just start calling yourself a project manager?
I was a project manager before they called me that because I knew how to manage all the projects in the technology world. And then I was an engineer and I managed all the technical pieces and I managed all the resources and I knew all the technical information. It just was part of my role. They never called me that, but I was really a project manager.
Yeah.
Right?
And
I
you
knew all
thrive
that
on that.
information. Right?
Yeah, and you thrive on that. Like you
I
can
knew
tell
it
that's
because I knew it. I had to know it. There was no other way. They didn't have anybody else, right? I was the coder, I was a programmer, I was a project manager. I wore all the hats. They didn't have anybody else. In the days that they didn't have project managers, when you were the engineer, you were also the project manager. You had to be. There was nobody else.
so the pattern that happened was that you just kept on showing up where no one else was doing what you wanted to do.
Nobody else wanted to do it and nobody else could do it.
Cool. So Phil, you're not a project manager. You're a strategist.
no,
Manager? What?
no, I'm not a project manager. I don't have any PMP qualifications, so I manage any projects I get through logic and knowledge. Yeah, I kind of call myself a strategist. I've, when I've done startups, I've helped companies expand. I've done risk assessment on companies. So it's just a matter of going in and taking my business knowledge and looking at those companies and what their problems are and how you apply strategies to get out of it. Alan knows it very well. He's done a lot more than I have.
Now, you kind of talked about like how you started with the European football, and you were a strategist at that point, or?
Yeah, that wasn't my first one. That was my biggest one. That was the European UEFA, European Union Football Association. So that was risk assessment on their warehouse because they serve 153 stadiums all across Europe. And there are 4 island states in Europe as well. Really? They have one warehouse that serves all that area. So they were concerned. So they were concerned because they have, one warehouse serving 153 stadiums amounts to something like a couple of hundred, well, probably more than that. Probably, I don't know, $500 million worth of stuff that you need to send out to all these different football pitches and get set up for every single match. And so you can have like 2 or 3 trucks actually going off to one football match or one stadium. And so their concern was, what if something happens to that warehouse? How would that affect them? and so the guy who actually runs that business, which is AMC Logistics, he asked me if I'll come in and work with him and UEFA to do a risk assessment on how they manage the stock,
Yeah.
rotate the stock, get the stock out, track the trucks, and then come back, and what the risks were in Belgium of just having the one warehouse in Belgium. And it turns out.
How did he find you?
He funny, well, not funny. I mean, he used to work for me many years ago in General Electric when we was in England. And he went his way and I went my way, but we always kept in touch sporadically.
So he could tell that you were good at this kind of thing, or it was your type of business now?
Yeah, because he knew that I went on to do semiconductors, and then I started traveling around the world. So I was working for all these big companies and all these multinationals. And then when I come out of that, I decided to do startups, and my first startup wasn't successful, but that was okay.
That's
I
right.
learned a lot from it. I learned a lot from it. The second
Apparently,
one, easier.
They say in the tech world apparently that if you're not embarrassed about your first opening, or what is it, the first time that you put your product out there, if you're not embarrassed about the first time, you waited too long.
Yeah, my first startup was for me. I actually, when I come out of business, do you know Angie's List?
Oh yeah. Actually, I'm on it, sort of.
All right. Yeah. Well, we were kind of a pre-Angie's List. So what we did was, I realized that you could we could do this company on the internet, and we called it the Biz Connection. All right. So it was connecting all the local businesses on one platform, and then and advertising that platform locally. And we only kind of did it on a small basis, on a local basis. But yeah, so we kind of kicked that off, and it was kind of a pre-Angie's List, and we actually got it up and running, but we couldn't really figure out the marketing side and the technical side. We were either good at the technical side and we weren't good at marketing, which was primarily what happened. And we couldn't get enough traction to come and get people to join in. So it was a matter of going to companies, small business owners, and saying, do you want to come in on this? And some would and some wouldn't. And, you know, at the end of the day, we struggled for about a year or so, and we give up because it wasn't gaining traction. And good on Angie, because she actually cracked it and got it going. But I learned a lot of things about rejection and how you try and set up your own business, and how you have to deal with different technical aspects of getting onto the internet. And yeah, there's a lot of things that you covered.
And you liked it, so that fit the pattern of what you like to do.
Yeah, that I kind of deviated off of that, because the next startup was, I was asked by some investors for, well, there's a semiconductor company in Florida, and the CEO and a couple of the VPs on that company wanted to start up a subsidiary business that wasn't directly associated with them, but was within the semiconductor market. And so they asked me if I would come over and set the company up and get product distribution rights from China and Taiwan. So that was much more in my field, which I liked, because that meant starting a business from scratch within Florida, and traveling to China and Taiwan and negotiating distribution
Awesome.
rights on technical products over there in the US.
That's so cool.
And then launching the company in the US. And that was a lot of hard work, and it was really interesting.
That's great. It's really a good sign when you feel like it's a lot of hard work and you like it. Right?
Yeah, because you really do have to sweat at it for long days.
Yeah. That's why
to get it going.
That's why Lisa went into her business. You could tell that she's so pumped because it's time. It's go time, right,
Yeah.
Lisa?
I do this so that I don't have to have a boss and I don't have to go to an office.
There is that too, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you do talk about how one of your patterns is when you like to get up. So.
Oh yeah, there's that too.
So the thing with accounting is, I hear that. So my mother-in-law actually does kind of accounting up in the Four Corners area, and she said that it's one of those jobs where it's less about the actual skill and more about being the right fit. So from what you're saying, it sounds like you're saying that that's pretty much true. Is the reason you're doing accounting is because it happens to be a tool to get to do what you want to do.
Yeah, I would say, even hiring other staff, that's like actually a pretty big struggle, is finding people who are the right fit for our company more than people who have the technical skills.
Yeah.
Because accounting isn't really something that anyone is particularly talented at, I would say.
It's obvious when you're not, though.
Well, yeah, I mean, obviously, if you're not good at it, but it's not something that is, I mean, it's not something that you need. It's not like, say, being a singer or, a dancer or something. You can be like, oh, I'm going to go do this, but you just don't have the talent. And no matter how much you practice.
And you don't need to be that original.
Yeah, but I think that you have to have the mindset to do accounting. I mean, I remember sitting at a partners meeting where I distribute income statements to my partners, and I could see their eyes glaze over. They don't have a clue what they're looking at. And no amount of talking or training is ever going to get there for them. For some people, if you want to talk about accounting, it's like speaking Mandarin. And so I've found that there are incredibly intelligent people who just can't grasp accounting.
But Phil talks Mandarin.
No, I don't.
Ah, I was hoping because you're in China.
Yeah, I managed to pick up a few phrases, but they're long gone now.
Ah, all right.
We have a
But
saying in
Alan's
dancing.
right. You have to have a mindset
Practice.
to get into any particular industry. But and I'm not a great accountant. I've gone through in England. I remember going through when I was still over there, ordinary level and advanced level accounting, and double entry bookkeeping was like a nightmare. Not because it's difficult, but because the questions they pose you on credit and debit, and how they can call a credit a debit in one question and a debit a credit in another question, really makes you think, and it's like confusing.
But that writes up Lisa's day, right, Lisa?
What? Doing double entry accounting?
Okay.
No, I mean, we don't. Sorry, I'm fighting with things. I don't think accounting brightens anyone's day.
That's great.
But the point of accounting is, okay, so like when I say that, I mean like putting the data together, because, what people think of as accounting is putting the data together, right? They do the books, they do the tax returns, they put the data together. But I mean, that's not what's really particularly interesting. I mean, it's what you do with that. It's what you do with that data. It's the answers that you can get out of that data
That sounds cool.
by using different reporting models. So, we can say, okay, well, based on this is going to be the best time to make this change in the company, or, this is where you can afford to make changes. Like this department isn't really, has a huge, margin, or small margin. So you can afford to make changes in that department.
Yeah.
So that's, I mean, and that's the part that I guess I would say is interesting.
Yeah, that's kind of like with organizing, that's a lot of, there's some people who have this set up in one area, but there's this one space that they haven't really developed how they're going to organize that stuff. And so that's kind of where I find the wiggle room to create something new and exciting in their life. And the difference between that and accounting to me, from what you explained, is that there's a lot more regulations, I think, with the stuff that you're dealing with. And that's why I've sent people to you when they ask about money. I'm like, actually, I know this gal. You don't want me to buy.
One of the things that I think most people don't get is when you look at a financial statement, to me, every bit of data on that statement is a reflection of human activity. And if you don't understand the human activity that underlies those numbers, then you can't make good decisions. And it isn't, I mean, for so many people and even CEOs, it's just numbers. And they make decisions like, I want to cut expenses across the board 10%. That's one of the stupidest statements that I've ever heard, because you may have an activity in there that actually needs more budget to be effective and efficient. And if you cut it 10%, now you make it less efficient and less effective. You might even have a function in there that you can cut out 100%, but you have to understand the human activity that's represented by those numbers. And I think that's one of the problems, that people don't understand what accounting is.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say that's true. Very, very true.
And then you have the people who went to the Oscar Madison School of Accounting. So when they expand their business, they just get a bigger box to throw their receipts in. And literally, I mean, I once did a forensic project where the owner of the business showed up at my house with an income register and 3 shopping bags full of checks. And he had no books. And I managed to create a set of books with 3 full pages of assumptions. But, people don't think about accounting as fundamental to their being able to properly manage their business.
Yeah. Yeah, they don't. I get a lot of people who
it's job security for you.
Keep everything organized for tax time, and that's just, it's stupid to pay our rates for the sole purpose of staying organized for tax time. I mean, there are free things that, there are things that are a lot cheaper that will get the job done if that's all you care about. But that's, again, sort of stupid, because you're missing out on so much. But yeah, Alan's right. Some people they don't understand. They don't understand the point. They think it's just to keep track of everything. They think that's the sole purpose of accounting, is just to keep track of everything. That's what we do. We just keep track of it. And then, you know, they just don't understand that all we do is collate and analyze and interpret all the data.
Yeah, that with the organizing is a similar thing. Like Miriam Ortiz Pino has kind of talked about this too. But I know, like in my business, I didn't want to be like the shows where they make things that stand and like they're just there. I wanted to be more dynamic. Like this is a way to get to something, and that sounds like what you're saying is that you kind of want it to be something that flows into, like, you know, this is to plan for the future. This is to make things work and like to manipulate, you know, things so it works better. And have some like creativity in it, as opposed to just recording and holding things in place.
Yeah, I mean, that's just, it's like, I'm trying to think of a good analogy, you know, it's like such a small part of what our job really is.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, it's what people know. I guess it's like if you're a lawyer and all you ever do is watch Law and Order, and then you think that's how it all works. You know,
If you're a lawyer, you know that's not how it all works.
right. It doesn't work that way at all,
Right.
but it makes for amazing television. And you know, I love Law and Order, don't get me wrong, but I mean,
I do too.
Right, but the whole point of watching it is that it has nothing to do with reality, and you can, like, you know, completely suspend, you know, and get into something different. But yeah, it doesn't work. But they think that, you know, just the going to court and having, you know, that, you know, like that's what being a lawyer is. You know, it's not all the drudgery, the research, which, you know, I feel your pain on, because I don't know how many times I've, you know, been up late trying to read through some tax code, trying to make sense of it. And, you know, I mean, but that's all of the stuff that goes into, you know, being able to go into a courtroom, which you don't even go into like that often as a lawyer, right?
Right. I mean, when I went to LA to pursue acting, I realized pretty quickly that I was going to have to let go of everything I knew about being a lawyer in order to audition for lawyer parts, because a Hollywood lawyer has nothing to do with actual lawyering.
Right.
And you know, it's kind of the outside perception is very seldom close to reality.
That brings us back to singing and dancing. And Annie, you're about to say something about singing and dancing. Do you remember what that was?
Yeah, we have singing and dancing. Practice does not make perfect. It makes for permanent. So in other words, you can practice right or you can practice wrong. It makes for permanent.
It's like my Father Fabian, my logic teacher. He's like, practice doesn't make perfect. Perfect practice makes perfect.
Right? So you can practice in the right way or you can practice in the wrong way.
So practice makes permanent. All right.
Yeah.
That's another way of putting it. I like that. That's pretty cool. We're
So,
gonna,
you know, you have muscle memory, and so you can end up practicing in the wrong way, and your muscle remembers those wrong ways. And if you practice in the wrong way, you have to unlearn those bad habits. And I think in my pro partner, he used to say to me, Annie, if you learn in the wrong way, I have to unlearn your bad habits in order to get you back on the right track.
so Annie,
Right?
Yeah, you put in here that we have a saying in dancing. So you're in dancing. Are you saying this is something you do often?
Yeah, I was in competition. I was in competition ballroom dancing, right? So my pro partner used to say to me, you know, it's better that you don't know the wrong way, because at least I can teach you the right way. Because if you practice in the wrong way, you know, you're going to end up making permanent wrong way. Right? And then I have to teach you, you have to unlearn the wrong way, and then it's harder to unlearn the wrong way and then get you back on track. It's like projects. When you're off track, I've got to get it back on track. And I can't even begin to tell you as a project manager that the projects that I've inherited that I had to get back on track, it was a disaster. You know, trying to get them back on track when they're off track is a nightmare, because I have to correct the mistakes that someone else made, and then getting them back on track is sometimes even more challenging than when it wasn't done to begin with. It's like you have to correct somebody else's mistake. It's like accounting, trying to reconcile the wrong numbers and then trying to get them back on track when you've got $15 million. You've got to reconcile, trying to find all the mistakes and then undoing them and then getting them back in the right chart of accounts. And believe me when I say that could be just as much of a headache than, you know, right? Having the whole $15 million to begin with that wasn't in anything is better than trying to get them out of the wrong buckets and then putting them in the right buckets.
Would you say that's pretty true, Lisa, that that's how you could see accounting? It's like dancing?
No.
Oh, okay.
But you know, I did a different kind of dancing, so maybe it's different if it's.
What kind of dancing did you do?
Oh, I did classical ballet.
That's cool.
Yeah. It's brutal, is what it is. Well, that way it is like dancing. You know, tax and dancing are both pretty brutal. So there is that. Yeah. So yeah, it's pretty brutal.
Wow.
You do have to clean up other people's messes a lot.
There's a truth out there that if everybody did everything right, consultants and lawyers and accountants would have to get a real job. Okay.
That's horrible.
Well, it's the truth. We survive on dysfunction.
What's a real job then?
Well, it's going to work for somebody and sitting at a desk and having a boss. So
the boss needs a real job then too.
Excuse me?
Then the boss would need a real job too.
But we thrive on dysfunction. I mean, so you can't complain about it. I mean, it'll never go away. So that's the joy of it.
Yeah. So what other dancing do we have here? I want to go into that real quick because I've done ballroom dancing. I've done swing and folk dancing.
I wanted to learn that, but I'm not good with partner. I mean, you know, ballet is different, but I did that. I did hip hop. I did jazz.
That's what I was waiting for. I expected that.
Huh?
I expected to hear the hip hop and the jazz dancing. The ballet caught me off guard.
You don't know why it caught you off guard?
No, that you did ballet caught me off guard.
Oh.
I expected you to say something like jazz dancing.
But no, different than swing dancing. They're like two different animals. I always wanted to learn swing dancing. How did you learn how to do that?
You just rock back and forth and step back, and that's it.
No formal training is what you're saying.
Well, okay. We did do like a bunch of classes and stuff. I learned in country dancing. See this shirt? This actually belonged to my dad. This is a Western style shirt. And you know, I lived up in South Dakota. We did the real Western dancing up there.
Huh.
And I had a like series of classes in middle school. I was doing dance classes. So, which was funny because I was going to become a priest, but I enjoyed it. So
yeah, somehow I'm not surprised about that.
There was when I was living in California, we used to go down to the Central Park in San Francisco on Sunday mornings. And at 10 o'clock on Sunday morning in the park, there was a lady called Lindy, and she did a website, and it's called Lindy in the Park. And what she would teach people in the park is West Coast dancing,
Whoa.
which is different to the East Coast.
Right. It's like a slot, right?
Yeah.
The woman dances like this way, and the guy sort of like he's like the T to their movement.
Well, you know a lot more about it than I, because I don't know what East Coast swing is either. So,
Okay.
but it was fun. I mean, we just used to. I'm not a dancer. I mean, I get up and just wiggle like most people do.
And white men can't dance.
But
So
it was fun. It was fun going down to the park because what they encouraged was that you didn't go dance with your partner, you danced with other people.
yeah, that's great.
And so there were quite a number of people that used to come down with Lindy and that were really good at West Coast swing. And so you kind of like sat on the wall and people would come up and say, would you want to dance? And so I went out with them, and my wife went out with somebody else, and they would kind of try and teach you how to do West Coast swing. And it was really good. And it was like 2 hours or so every Sunday morning she did it. And you can look it up. I don't know what she's doing now, if she can still do that because of the COVID, but it was really great Sunday mornings going down to San Francisco Central Park and doing West Coast swing with a whole bunch of people. You know, there was always around between 30 and 40 people there, always. It was free. It was great.
That's cool.
So,
Alan, I want to hear what you're dancing, but before I forget, I want to mention this to Annie, and then we're going to do the asks and wrap up here. Annie, this is YouTube, and you're asking about what the last shows were about. For reminders, you can always go on Adam's Friday Flow for Entrepreneurs on YouTube, and
Oh, okay. All right, I'll go there. Yeah.
so this is one, because I don't even remember. I mean, I didn't even know what I was talking about this week until like, you know, a couple minutes before we started. So Alan, what dancing do you got?
well, in 1966, when I was in Germany, a film crew showed up at a nightclub I used to go to, and there was hardly anybody there. So I danced on German TV for this special, just kind of freeform, because I'm very undisciplined, but I loved dancing at that time. And I had no idea it was going on TV until some German folks that I knew said, "Hey, I saw you on TV dancing." So
That's great.
a little claim to fame in Germany.
Way to go. So I might send out a feedback thingy. Last time I only got back from one person, and I sent it out to 3 people because I just did whoever I had a quick email for. But if you do that, next talk or next time is going to be confidence to ask, and as opposed to like the asking we're doing right now, which is like asking for something we're hoping for. This is like confidence to ask when you don't know. And I'm getting it from Julie Morgenstein. Has this book, a rather old book, but still a nice gem, is How to Make Work Work. And one of her advice is to think like an entrepreneur. And she says that entrepreneurs are willing to ask things, whereas like, you know, if you're just doing the job, you're like, I don't know that, I guess I don't need to. But that's next time. So talking about asks, what do you guys have for an ask this time? Annie, are you ready for an ask? Do you have one on mind?
I don't have one right now, so go to the next
Okay.
one first.
Alan.
Yeah, I don't have one now.
I have a
I have the
guess.
same ask that I have every week. Please vote. And if you want information on candidates, go to vote411.org.
Great.
Oh yeah, I do have an ask. Where do I find the voting polls? Is that available at this time?
You can go
That's my ask.
on the Bernalillo County Clerk's website, and there's a button there where you can go in and find your polling place.
Bernco.gov. Also down here,
Bernalillo.
find out how to vote. I don't know if you noticed, Google even has a thing on the bottom, find where to vote. So
Where to vote? Okay.
it's like, there's a couple places, but yeah, it'll get you there.
And it'll also be on your ballot.
Yeah, because I got my ballot yesterday, so I gotta find where to where to take my ballot.
I'm
physically.
doing a mail-in ballot, so we'll see how that goes.
You didn't give me an envelope for mail-in ballot. I'd like to be able to mail it, but
Yeah, you can take your mail-in ballot.
Yeah, we'll see if it comes through. And Lisa, do you have an ask ready?
Yes, this week I am trying to meet more HR consultants.
Oh,
So people who do HR consulting for small to mid-sized companies. I'm looking for people to partner our payroll service with.
cool.
So if you
HR.
happen to have any contacts like that, obviously I have contacts in Texas, but I'm looking for contacts in New Mexico.
So the way that conversation would go is like, oh, you're in HR. I just heard this one accountant would love to talk with you because she's looking to talk to HR people, and that will make them feel special because you're looking for them, and they like having human relations.
I don't know that many of them actually like humans all that much, but
That's so sad.
no, I'm teasing. But yeah, if there are any HR consultants in your network, I would appreciate an invite. Oh, I don't think I've put my heinously long email in the chat, so let me do that special thing for you.
Great.
Hang on.
And
I don't
then
think that you guys already have
It-
my heinously long email.
Lisa McGarry at Proficient
Yeah,
Financial.
I know, right?
Management.
Here, I'll just put my thing in the chat, and then if you have anyone, also, if you want to connect with me on LinkedIn, you can find me. There's like not that many people with my name.
That's great. Lisa McGarry. McGarry. Son of McGarry. Son of Gary. Anyway, something like that. And Phil, your ask.
When I asked the question, I think it was week before last, because I was in the car last week, that said, I asked everybody, when do they think, at what period can you go back in time and still understand English? Remember that?
Oh yeah,
Okay.
I was
Yeah.
like maybe 100, 200 years is my guess.
Oh. Now, I'd say further than 200 years because that way our country is 200 years old and there was established English before that. There was, I'm thinking of, there's that big poem, Wolf something.
Beowulf.
Beowulf, thank you. Yeah, that was like the beginning of that, but I don't know how old that thing is.
1300s, maybe.
Alan, any idea?
I would think it would be maybe 500-600 years. We'd have to really listen hard, I think, because I think they spoke in a. I mean, well, they had their own slang, so that would be difficult to wrap your brain around. But
Yeah.
I think we can go back 500-600 years.
Who's gonna book?
Yeah.
Annie, do you have a guess?
no, I don't think 100 years would be it, because I have a book that's about 100 years old, and every time I open up that book and I try to read that English, to me, it's very different. So I would say probably even less than 100 years, probably, I'd say maybe 50 years.
You're saying that 50 years ago is when English started, like World War II.
No, I mean, English
No, not
started,
that English started, but English has been around for a really long time, but it keeps evolving and changing. Like, try to read Shakespeare and there are words
Right,
that,
exactly.
50 years I think is a little too short because.
I think
I was
it evolved- the
24,
English
50
language
years
evolves.
ago.
Right,
It
Alan,
wasn't that long ago.
Alan's at least 50 years old if he was in Germany in 1966.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm looking at a 100-year-old book, and even that English, the written English is different enough that I'm like, how can anybody read this English? It's hard to even understand. And that book is
Maybe
only
it
about
was
100 years
poorly
old.
written.
No, I would say like the
So,
1800s. They were.
So
I would say 100 is probably, I
It
stick
sounds
to about
like
100.
what kind of question are we asking? Is another question? Like it's kind
Right,
of meta
so-
question. Like anyway, Phil, what do you got for us?
So
Right.
let me tell you, okay? So I'm going to preempt it by saying earlier this month, sorry, what are we on now? Yeah, earlier last month, in the beginning of, what are we in? October, September, yeah. William the Conqueror decided to invade England. This was in 1066.
Wait,
And the Anglo-Saxon line that was dominant in England in those days, or in Britain, because there wasn't any Scotland and Wales in that particular time. The Anglo-Saxon line started to decline, and when William invaded England from Europe, he introduced more French into the Anglo-Saxon language, which was much more Germanic in that day than it is now. But in answer to the question, when can you go back and actually pick up documents and start reading them? Most people can start reading them proficiently, is around this time of Elizabeth I. And it's actually probably around her father, beginning of the Tudors, that you can begin to understand English as they wrote it today. And this is a very good book, and I showed it to Alan before. It's about Elizabeth I and her strategies in a very dominated world, man world, of how she led England to be the greatest nation that it was in that particular time. And the good thing about this book is they actually print some of her writings, her teachings, as she wrote them in the book. And when you read them, you can if you read them carefully, you can begin to understand them. So I followed up on that, and it is around the Tudor time that you can go back in language. And if we were to go back there now, all right, in a time machine, we could, with some careful thought and slow speaking, understand what they say.
Yeah, thanks, Lisa. All right, that's thank you guys for. So now we know that we could have spoken English with Elizabeth I, and slowly got a hang of it. And with that, I'm gonna get to my closing screen here. If I can move this Zoom extra thingy out of my way. There we go.
Hey, Adam.
All right. Yes.
What email should I use if I need to send you materials for 2 weeks from now?
Emails?
What
My
email
email
should I
is
use?
adam@sparksflow.com.
Okay.
Adam@sparksflow.com. Yeah.
Okay.
Thank
so I
you guys
need
for
to send
joining
my
us, and keep the sparks flowing.
Thank
Thanks,
you,
Adam.
Adam.
Thanks, Adam.